By 68 AD, Nero had grown despotic and perhaps even mad with power and vanity. The fire of Rome, along with his unpopularity, led him to commit suicide, and the era of four emperors began between 68 and 69. Four men, Galba, Otto, Vitalis, and then Vespasian, all ruled over Rome between 68 and 69 AD. None of them had centralized power, and the empire was definitely divided amongst them, as each of the first three proved to be totally incompetent. Chaos and anarchy threatened to destroy the Roman Empire, but it was the competent general, Flavius Vespasianus, who would become its restorer. After putting down the Jewish revolt, recapturing Jerusalem, and burning the temple, Vespasian assembled the legions of the east and marched on Rome, becoming its emperor in 69 AD. Along with much-needed financial reforms, Vespasian also laid the groundwork for an amphitheater in the middle of the city of Rome to celebrate his victory. This amphitheater, the Colosseum, would be opened after his death during the reign of his competent son Titus. Titus, who had completed his father's work in Judea, would be best known for providing relief after the explosion of Mount Vesuvius in 80 before his premature death a year later. After the terror days and upheaval of Nero, the Flavians, Vespasian and Titus had brought order and stability to the Roman Empire, perhaps best punctuated by the opening of the Colosseum during Titus's reign. Yet when Titus died young in 81, he was succeeded by his brother Domitian. Domitian's greatest success was in the field of money. He ended the devaluing of the currency by increasing the silver purity and enforcing strict taxes. Domitian was known for being cruel and ruthless, yet he was also a wise and clever administrator. His reputation for tyranny is perhaps overblown, coming from the Senate, who absolutely hated him. What Domitian wanted, however, he got, such as new building projects including palaces and temples. He encouraged the worship of pagan Roman gods, as well as his own family and perhaps even himself, angering many groups, especially the Christians, whom he brutally repressed. More than anything, Domitian wanted to be known as a great warrior and conqueror, and when his best governor, Agricola, continued the successful conquest of Caledonia, modern-day Scotland, and even landed in Ibernia, modern-day Ireland, Domitian recalled him under mysterious circumstances, perhaps out of jealousy and paranoia. His paranoia may have been justified, as the Senate, who had turned against him greatly, murdered him in 96 and replaced him with Nerva. After Domitian had turned the Senate against him and they had assassinated him in 96 AD, they replaced him with an older senator who was well connected with the Flavians. Nerva is the beginning of what is called the Five Good Emperors, and he was really not that great of an emperor. He was only emperor for 2 years, and although he brought some level of stability, he basically followed along with whatever the Senate wanted. His best choice was choosing Trajan, the best general of the Roman emperor and commander of the Germanic front, to be his successor. When Nerva died in 98, Trajan became emperor. As Optimus Princeps, the greatest ruler, Trajan is one of the most successful Roman emperors of all. He expanded the empire in nearly every direction, continued to stabilize the economic problems, and built many monuments, including Trajan's Column and Trajan's Forum, to celebrate his great victories against many enemies. To wage as many wars, he devalued the silver currency so that he could mint many more coins. Under Trajan, Rome reached its largest territorial extent, incorporating Dacia, modern-day Romania, Nabatea, modern-day Jordan, and Armenia into the empire. Politically, he was just as savvy. The Roman senators loved him because he basically did whatever they wanted, and he remained highly popular until his death in 117. In 117 AD, Trajan, perhaps Rome's greatest emperor who had expanded its territory to its largest extent and instituted a series of successful domestic policies, died. He was succeeded by his adopted son, Hadrian, who had won the favor of his wife and thus become the heir. In many ways, Hadrian was Trajan's opposite. He was Hellenized and far more interested in defending the country than expanding it, and was hated by the Senate. After giving up excess lands conquered by Trajan and focusing on defense, he built perhaps Rome's greatest barricade, the Hadrian's Wall, separating Caledonia and the barbarians from Roman Britannia. More than anything, the Hellenistic ruler was a builder, constructing many temples and monuments throughout his reign and touring the entire empire, where wherever he went, he made sure to build something. His greatest building accomplishment was the Pantheon, a giant domed structure and temple where the Romans could go to worship the Greek gods they had appropriated. Hadrian had been a powerful and stable ruler, and after 20 years he died in 138 and was succeeded by his adopted son, Antoninus Pius. Named Pius by the Senate, he was known for his pragmatism and wisdom, and the stability and peace and prosperity that he brought throughout his reign, minus the plague. He died in 161 after 23 years on the throne. After Hadrian, the third good emperor, and Antoninus Pius, the fourth good emperor, had redirected Rome's efforts towards stabilization and domestic policy, in 161, Pius died and was succeeded by Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus, his two adoptive co-heirs. These two heirs ruled over Rome for 8 years, both of them being popular, beneficent, and known for their welfare policies as well as military campaigns. Verus was especially interested in campaigning against the Parthians, and Aurelius was always there to support him. The two did not vie for power, nor try to outdo each other. However, it was Aurelius who held more power than Verus, yet never abused it, relying on his Stoic philosophy and writing the famous meditations about this. When Verus died in 169, probably of the Antonine Plague, it was up to Aurelius to deal with the enemies. First, the Parthians, from the Persian Empire that always challenged Rome and Rome could never defeat. Also from barbarian invaders who crossed rivers and invaded Roman territory in almost every direction throughout Aurelius' reign. Despite these many challenges, Aurelius was very successful in defending the homeland and even won a triumph. His domestic policies and safe, stable leadership leave him considered one of Rome's greatest emperors. After 85 years of the adoptive line with 5 good emperors, Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius, with a shout-out to Lucius Verus, it was time for Rome to be ruled by a son of an emperor rather than an adopted selected emperor. And so it was that in 180, when Marcus Aurelius died, he was succeeded by his son Commodus. Commodus was everything that Aurelius wasn't. Aurelius was motivated, commanding, effective, and philosophical. Commodus was lazy, self-indulgent, vain, narcissistic, and despotic. He quickly ended all of Rome's military campaigns, choosing instead a life of self-indulgence and comfort, resting on the laurels of his father's great empire. He devalued the currency so much that it led to an inflationary crisis during the 3rd century, and rather than lead and govern his empire, he styled himself a gladiator, in the fashion of Hercules, his favorite god. These displays of showmanship and narcissism, coupled with his despotic and cruel nature, made him comparable to Nero and made him extremely unpopular with the Senate. He is the emperor of Gladiator, by the way, and eventually the people of Rome also turned on him, leading to his assassination in 192, the end of the Pax Romana.